Derek Spallone. Glad to be alongside NFL Hall of Famer Anthony Muñoz. Anthony, how are you feeling today, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself? You doing good?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you taking the time out. And just first and foremost, as the founder of the Play 60 Character Camp, what type of direct impact have you seen these camps and initiatives have on the lives of the youth?
Well, I think the great thing is we can take the game of football, which I played for a lot of years, and as we know, is a great teaching tool. Teach them a little football, but also incorporate the messages of the Play 60. First of all, get out. Exercise. With our youth, we got to get them outside. We can't get away from the exercise, so we really encourage them to get out. I mean, just do something. I mean, you don't have to do a specific, activity. Just get out and do something. Eat well, and then, of course, the character that we added to it. Try to be a person of character. Live. Make your decisions are going to help you out in life. With responsibility and character and integrity. So we really stress that. And then we'd have some, team building activities because we all know, usually, you're working with the team, and a lot of times you don't come from the same area, the same cultural background. So we have a pretty diverse group usually at every camp. So as we split them into teams, they're working with individuals that might not look the same as they do. So we teach them how to, work together with team building exercises, and that's what we really focus on is, those three different messages. And if they can go away, with those messages and maybe, oh, by the way, we learned about, exercise, eating well, character, but then we also learned about, football. That's good. Right. That's good.
Yeah, well, that ties me into saying just to be in that position as a leader, how special is it to know that they might come away with a new passion for football, whether it's in the camps in Mexico or across the U.S.?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that we focus. A lot of these kids have never really been exposed to football,
right.
And all of a sudden they're here at a camp. They're having fun. I mean, the coaches are enthusiastic. The coaches, I thank every one of the coaches for taking time out of their busy schedules. So they're here teaching them not only football but about life. And then, if these kids, I usually tell them, I can guarantee you one thing: you're going to learn a lot if you listen to coaches. And I tell them, I can't guarantee the second thing, but I can pretty much guarantee, because I've been in enough of these, that you're going to have fun. Right. So we want to establish that new fan base. Kids that really aren't fans of the game to all of a sudden say, man, I'm going to start watching this game because I had a great experience. So that's another point that we try to come away from the camp with, is establishing a new fan base at a young age too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want now time back along with all that. What was your original inspiration for the character camp, like coming in that you? Yeah.
Well, the thing about it, I've had a foundation in Cincinnati for 16 years. I didn't start until like about 8 years after I retired from the league. I was in broadcasting and doing a bunch of other things. My kids were off playing, college sports. I was watching them. So as soon as they were getting ready to finish up, I knew I wanted to start a, foundation and focus on really trying to use the platform to impact kids. And so I've been doing, really in Cincinnati, I do overnight character camps where we take about 150 young men and we pour into their lives, teach them football, but all this other stuff that we're talking about. And that's really what motivated me 7 years ago to, with my son and I, to fly up to the league office and really push to do something like this, because I knew about the Play 60 program. I've been involved with that for a lot of years with the league. So I wanted to take that because it was established, but add the other stuff. And so that was my motivation, is to really continue to use the game of football, but teach other aspects of life. And that's what motivates me.
That's amazing. That's incredible. And while I'm sure they've learned many life lessons from you, what has been the biggest life lesson you've learned through these experiences?
Oh, man, I just love being around these youth because they, rejuvenates me. It keeps me motivated to do it. But you learn about, really the difference of really what's out there, what they're facing now. Because I'm an old guy, I was at their age a long time ago. I wasn't facing the same things they're facing now. So you learn about that. A lot of times you have kids that will open up to you and, that are struggling with certain things. And I've learned, really what they're struggling with, the different things, which helps me out because we do so much with youth, not only my foundation in Cincinnati, but across the country now. And so it helps with that connection with young people, and it gives us a better way to try to help out.
And as someone growing up who had a dream of playing in the NFL and achieved that goal, what is the biggest piece of advice you're able to offer to youth when it comes down to them setting goals and then taking the steps towards achieving those goals?
Well, the main thing is, believe in something, have a dream, and don't let people tell you can't do something. Because if I would have listened to people that were really saying I couldn't do something, I wouldn't have played in the NFL, especially after, the injuries I had in college. So, I just tell them to work not only just in football or in sports, but in everything, and because it's going to make you a better person. It's going to allow you to prepare that much better.
Yeah.
So be the best student you can be the best friend, the best sibling, and then when you're involved in sports, give it everything. Don't just go at it half-heartedly, but give it a full effort, and I think things will take care of itself. So those are the type of messages I share with the young people.
Well, definitely, and you can definitely relate to that because I want to transition a bit into your stellar career, known as one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time, an 11-time Pro Bowler, 9-time All-Pro first-team member, and a Pro Football Hall of Fame member. But when you reflect back on your journey and how far you've come and what you've been blessed to accomplish, what stands out the most in your mind about your achievements and how you've handled success?
Well, I think the main thing is continue to stay grounded. Another message I share is don't forget where you come from.
Okay.
My mom raised 5 of us by herself. We didn't have a whole lot. To me, that is something that I'll never forget because that helped me along the journey, and it's helped me to be the person I am now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you just I think about playing 13 years in the NFL, and you think about persistence and discipline. One of the things I always share when I go out and talk is the 4 years at USC. I played one healthy season, 3 knee operations in 4 years. Very easily, it would have been easy to say, the heck with this. I mean, I don't need to go to another rehab, but just to continue to have a passion and desire to improve yourself, and that's what I wanted to do. My senior year, I get hurt in the first game, missed the entire season, but I was determined to play in the Rose Bowl.
Right.
I got a chance to play in that one game, and after that, I was determined to just go to an NFL camp. So, it was about what I learned growing up around my mom, relatives, coaches. They just taught us to never give up. Just continue to bust your tail and try to be the best. And that carried me through the NFL because when I got drafted, I wasn't satisfied with just being drafted.
Right.
I tell young guys, turn your preparation up to another notch.
Right.
I mean, your conditioning, your strength conditioning, your studying, and again, continue to appreciate what you have, the opportunity, the privilege, and don't forget where you come from. And to me, that's what has kept me grounded all those years of playing, and even now, is that I'm not going to forget where I came from, the little we had growing up. I get to do things like this now. It's because I've not forgotten. Mom, she was an unbelievable coach. I mean, she'd hit us ground balls and fly balls better than a lot of baseball coaches. So you remember that, and you remember the tough times. The adversity you go through and how you fought through it and you didn't give up. So those are the things that really you can use as building blocks, and don't allow those things to keep you stuck.
Right.
But use them as a motivation, use them as building blocks, lessons that you learn through those times. And that, to me, that's the appreciation I have, the journey, the success, and now that I get a chance to do this.
And it propels you to keep on going, though, having that motivation. So do you find it easier to relate to the youth because maybe they're going through similar circumstances that you went through growing up?
It really does. I find, because I am much older than these kids, and they have no clue of what I did, when I walk up. And, I joke about it, but I said, your parents were probably your age when I was playing. And but, yeah, it's an instant connection because they might see a Pro Football Hall of Famer, a Pro Bowler, a member of a, NFL team, but then I share my journey and they say, wow, I can relate to that. A lot of these kids might be going through single-parent home, not having a whole lot, going through some adversity, and they're not just looking at the 13-year body of work that I did in the NFL, but now they're looking at the entire journey and saying, man, let's listen to what he has to say. I can relate to it. He's taking the time to share that with us, and to me, that gives me an instant connection with them.
Anthony, and transitioning a little bit here, it's pretty amazing. Just a few years ago, Ron Rivera became the second head coach of Latino descent to guide a team to the Super Bowl. The first coach being the legendary Tom Flores. The legendary Tom Flores.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty significant accolade. How surreal is it for you knowing that guys like yourself and Tom Flores and Tom Spears and Jim Plunkett have helped guide the way for the future generations of Mexican Americans in the NFL?
Well, I've always taken it very serious. At first it's like, okay, just accomplish something as a role model because I've always taken being a role model seriously for young people. But then the fact that I've come from the Hispanic culture and, like you said, Tom Flores, in 1983, the guy won the Super Bowl with a Hispanic quarterback, Jim Plunkett. And it's like, I think a lot of that's lost, but you've really got to take and shine a light on that because, very few Hispanics have played in this league, let alone coached and won 2 Super Bowls. And it's one of those things where, like I said, I've always felt very serious about being a role model, but for the Latino community, it's very important because American football for Hispanic kids, oh, that's not something. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, guys like Rivera and Tony Gonzalez, and you got Roberto Garza and guys like that. Vasquez and Ramirez that at one time played together with the Broncos. So it's one of those things that we can say to these young Hispanic kids, hey, you can accomplish something if you want. We've kind of, you got the Floors and the Fears that have been the Trailblazers, Joe Cap, with the Vikings. Those are the guys that were doing it way back when, and then we've continued the legacy. So hopefully they see that and believe that it can continue even with them. And that's the type of legacy that we need to leave.
Yeah, and can you touch a little bit on your initiative with the NFL Hispanic Engagement and how you've taken that upon yourself to keep elevating that to another level?
Well, that was the thing 7 years ago when we met with the NFL, and that's what this camp became. The Play 60 NFL Play 60 character camp became an asset for their Hispanic outreach, fan development, teaching the game, and then the things we talked about. And it excited me that we were able to be a part of that. You have Hispanic Heritage Month, you have the games in Mexico, and now we've been in Mexico the last 4 years. We've been there the last 2 years when the games have been there. So it excites me that it's not 100%, but about 60-65% of the kids that we attract to these camps are Hispanic, and then it's been multicultural. So I'm excited that when we went up to meet with the NFL, they said, well, this is something we need to do. And I said, hey, I'm right there, count me in.
Yeah. And have you seen, what would you like to see for the future of that in years to come with the engagement level in the NFL? Yeah.
Well, I'd love to see it continue to grow. You have the Hispanic Heritage Month, you have the camps, you have the games. Because the Hispanic population, as we know, is growing so rapidly in the United States, I think we need to continue to, bring them in the fold as far as NFL fans. So hopefully it'll continue. Hopefully this will continue. We've been in 25 NFL cities. I hope that continues, that we can, one day be in all 32, and that the Hispanic communities are big enough in all 32 that we can address that and, really target them as camp members. So, I'd love to continue to do this. I don't know how many more years I have, but hopefully the legacy will continue, and this will continue even after I retire.
You're ambitious, and in your leadership, I'm sure it's going to continue for many years. We'll see some great things from you. So, but before I let you go, as well, when you reflect back just on your career, and you've seen as the NFL continues to grow in popularity, the game of football, what is a specific change you would like to see implemented in regards to player safety and overall protection?
I think, there's some steps that are being taken. I mean, the rules have, a lot of people complain about the rules, but I think the rules have helped out. I've been fortunate to be on the Player Safety Advisory Panel, which is led by Madden and Ronnie Lott. There's about 15 of us on it, and we make recommendations to the league, and I think that's a good thing, because the commissioner appointed that. We have on our conference calls and our meetings, we always have people from the NFL office that hear from former players, general managers, and people that have had, stakeholders of the game that's still concerned about the game. That, even though we've been out of the game for a long time, guys like myself and Antonio Freeman and Ronnie Lott, and have continue to watch the game, and hopefully we, from our experience of playing the game, coaching the game, we can give some good advice. So, I think the main thing is continuing to see the high level of coaching fundamentals, because I think that's a big part of it. And I'm sure there's a lot of concerns with parents that, do I let my young kid play? Do I not let them play? Then they see things in the NFL. To really continue to really outpour of statistics and how, there has been a decrease in certain injuries, and it's always going to be a risk because it is a physical game. It's a game that the contact is pretty pretty violent at times. So, but I think we continue to work as a group to really do as much as we can with protection, the teaching. I think that we're going in the right direction. The NFL is open to that, and we're thrilled that they are.
Definitely, that's awesome. So thank you for sharing that with me, Derek Spallone, Anthony Muñoz. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, man. Great talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. Thank you.
Take care.